Hello everyone. Today's notes and assignments are finding area and perimeter of shapes with polygons. So we're going to be using a couple things that we've done in the past and what we've just been working on. So a couple reminders. Perimeter is when you add up all the sides of the shape. And for today, we only need two different types of area formulas. One of them is for the rectangle. To find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the length times the width. So we're going to be using polynomials, which means we're going to be multiplying things like a binomial times a binomial or so on. For a triangle, you multiply the base and the height, and you take that answer and you divide it by 2. So for a triangle, there's a couple different ways a triangle can be written. For a right triangle, the base is that bottom and the height is going straight up the side, making that right angle. For an acute triangle, the base is again that bottom, and the height goes from the very top down to the bottom. It's like a line that they drop to the very bottom. And for an obtuse triangle, the base is again the bottom side, but the height is that top peak to where the bottom would match if the bottom had been extended. For today's, your assignment only has the first two. So we're going to do a couple practice problems. It'll be kind of one of each of the type that you're going to find on your assignment. So for problem number 1, we have a rectangle. If I wanted to find the perimeter, the first thing I need to remember is that the top and the bottom have the same lengths, and the left and the right side have the same lengths. So if I were to write this all out, which you don't have to, you can do some of this mentally, I would have a 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. I'd have another 2x squared minus 3x plus 1, because that's the top and the bottom. The left would be an x plus 4, and the right would be an x plus 4. Now, if you notice how I wrote this, I kind of lined things up, making it an addition problem with everything like terms-wise in a column. So if I were to add 2x squareds plus 2x squareds, I would get 4x squareds. If I were to add negative 3x minus 3x plus x, I would get, was that negative 6, negative 5, negative 4x's. And if I were to add 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 4, I would get 10. So this is the perimeter of that rectangle. And of course, eventually you'd be able to be told what x is, so you could find it as an actual number answer. Now for the area is length times width. So on this problem, we are multiplying the trinomial on the top by the binomial on the side. So I'm going to create a 2 by 2 box. Sorry, a 2 by 3 box, because I like to be able to keep track of all of my pieces, and this has many pieces and I don't want to lose any of them. This is how I do it when I'm figuring out an answer key, you guys. So if I were to multiply the upper left, x times 2x squared is 2x cubed. Up the middle top, x times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. And the upper right, 1 times x is x. I'm going to multiply everything by 4. So I would make it an 8x squared minus a 12x and a 4. So if I look at this correctly, I have actually created like terms in diagonals. So the only x cubed term is that 2x cubed right here. Then I have in the diagonals the x squared term. So 8x squareds minus 3x squareds is positive 5x squareds. Don't forget, nothing happens to our exponents because we were adding like terms. And negative 12x plus x is negative 11x, and our 4 is our only constant. So this is the area of that rectangle. So we've just figured out the perimeter and area of the rectangle. For your assignment, you have 2 of those. You also have 2 of these, so you have a triangle. And if I wanted to find the perimeter, I'm first going to add up all the sides. But something I'd like you to notice, this inside is the height, but it's not a side. So it is not one of the numbers that you add in the perimeter. Your perimeter is only the ones on the outside, those 3. So I only have 1x squared, so there's nothing to add it to. In terms of x's, I have 1x on the left, 1x on the right, and 3x's on the bottom, so that's a total of 5x's. In terms of constants, I have a 5, a 7, minus 1, so that would be plus 11. Now, for the area, I do not need these sides because that's not part of the area formula. For the area formula, it's the base times the height divided by 2, which means I need to multiply a 2 by 3. So I'm going to create, again, my box, x plus 3, x squared plus 3x minus 1. If I multiply the column by the row, I get x cubed, 3x squared, minus 1x, 3x squared, 9x, and a negative 3. If I combine those, I would get x cubed plus 6x squared, because those are in the diagonals right here. The next diagonal of x's gets me an 8x and a minus 3. However, we're not done because the formula for a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So I did the base times height, but now what I need to do is divide all of these by 2. Now you will get decimals, and that's okay. So if I found half of 1, that's 0.5 of the x cubes. Half of 6 is 3 of the x squareds. Half of 8 is 4 of the x's. And half of negative 3 is a negative 1.5. So that is the area of that triangle. And again, if I knew what x is, I could plug it in and find the actual answer. Okay, one more type of problem. This is what your last 2 problems on your assignments are going to look like. What you're given is the perimeter, but you're asked to find a missing side. So what you want to do first is add up what you know. So if I look at what I know, I have a 2x squared and a 2x squared, which makes 4x squared. I have an x and another x, which makes 2 x's. And in terms of constants, a 7, a 7, a 3, and a 3, and that makes a 20. But what I don't know is this side here. So I don't know what I'm going to add, but I know what my answer is. It's a 4x squared plus 5x plus 21, because that's what the problem told us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what is missing to make that answer work. So first of all, the 4x squareds is still a 4x squared, so there's no x squareds necessary. For the next one though, how does a 2 become a 5? I need a 3x. And how does a 20 become a 21? I need a plus 1, which means this missing side is 3x plus 1. So I used what I knew to figure out what was missing to find my final answer. Okay, so your word of the day is perimeter. One of the things that we are finding during this assignment is the perimeter, adding up all the sides. Your assignment is finding the area and perimeter of shapes with polygons, and it is due Friday, April 3rd. I have office hours on Friday, so show up on Friday if you need help. It is between 9 and 10 for my algebra classes. And if you have any other questions, email me or write me on Google Classroom. Have a great day.